Cody, has anyone ever?
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Sports Wrap. My name is Scott Morgan, Rock Motor City Mad Mouth. We are talking hockey tonight, and we have everybody back in the house. Yeah, so get ready, tune in, strap in. We're going to be talking about developments on the frozen pond. Well, glad to have Jacob Christner back in the house.
How's it going?
Doing all right. Of course, he's coming off of last night. We're on the Sports Exchange. With that said, George Eichhorn is back as well.
Hello, good to be back on with you guys.
And our man from the West Coast, Cody Spink, is in the house.
How you doing, guys?
And last but not least, our hockey genius, Mike Santos.
Hey, guys.
Glad to have him back. All right, well, we have a busy agenda tonight, so let's get to it. There's a rumor going on that Macklin Celebrini is getting serious consideration for Team Canada's hockey team. Jacob.
Who'd you say it was?
Macklin Celebrini.
Macklin Celebrini.
You notice, now remind me. I'm just going to say this part. How old is Celebrini?
19.
See the point? This is making my point. I'll do this. Everybody, whether it's baseball, whether it's hockey, whether it's anything, and they're going for the Aces, and the Aces are 22 years old. Everybody's going younger now. Everybody is. It's like everybody's going younger. Whether it's the jerseys, whether it's whether it's new. There are always new kits in soccer, new jerseys for hockey, new everything, new players. There's not as much anymore as far as the getting the older and more experience like you would in the past. So this isn't shocking. And how do we might see this kind of thing a lot more often.
Turn over to George.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's doing really super right now. He had a couple of goals, I guess, in the win over Calgary, and this kid is lighting it up. I mean, he's he's one of those guys that you got to keep your eye on. Whether that alone warrants consideration, I don't know. I don't know the whole process in that Olympic selection, but I do know he definitely deserves to be talked about. Even with his age, and maybe you guys can shed more light. I don't know. Has he been in any other international competitions? That could be an advantage for picking him too.
Well, remember this though, George. It's like you can also say this. People would have, if they would have had these type of shows back in the day of the Wayne Gretzky at his rookie time. Someone that didn't know that he was a star since he was 10 years old would have said, "Would he had international competition?" I'm thinking the coaches kind of know he's ready already.
Probably so. Yeah, probably so.
Cody.
Well, I mean, I know he was in the World Juniors for Team Canada, so we know he could play there. I believe he helped Boston University to get to at least the Frozen Four, and I think he was a freshman when he did that. I mean, he's probably one of the more defensive-minded young players that we know right now also, but also very offensive. I'm looking, he has 51 points, and the Sharks have scored 102 goals, so he's almost half the points right there is just from Macklin Celebrini alone. So, and I feel like he'd be the one player I would want to bring because you could play him anywhere in your lineup.
Mike?
Jacob, first question for you.
Sure.
Why do they send NHL players to the Olympics?
The very best.
Yeah, but you said it earlier, it's for exposure, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So why the heck wouldn't you want to expose the greatest young player in the game today?
Oh, no, there's no question about that. It's like my point, and you're correct on that. It's like my point of the whole thing is just the age. Like this isn't the. I mean, you look back at the old any documentaries of any type of subject, and you always saw the older. You know what I mean? You always saw the older, and you're supposed to give. It's. I mean, this isn't the I'm going to carry your bags type of sport anymore. No one is.
Look, the the WNBA, dare I bring that up on this show, passed over Caitlin Clark for Diana Taurasi a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And they rightfully got skewered for that. And so I don't need to see another veteran NHL player who's probably already played in a few Olympics, maybe more than a few Olympics, get another crack at another Olympics when you've got a guy like Macklin Celebrini, young as he is, who's a better player right now, who's the future of the sport. And so if this is the stage they want to expose the game and the game's greatest players, then put them out there.
Well, the U.S. and Canada game alone, not to mention the tournament, the four tournament, not to mention that, absolutely exposed how great these young guys are. They really did.
Yeah, and Cody's right. He played in the World Junior Tournament. He's been on the big stage before. Who cares? I don't care. The league, you guys are right. The league is getting younger. Sidney Crosby's been around for a while now. Just like when he came up, the guys before him have been around for a while. It's time for a change.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Okay, let's continue on. Next, Alex Mogilny celebrates his Hall of Fame call with a shot of vodka at 3 a.m. Coffee was never an option. Oh, my gosh. That's not a bad idea, actually. I don't drink a lot of coffee, although I do some of the other bad caffeinated stuff. Jacob, some thoughts about vodka over coffee?
That's an every period thing for McGillney. I don't think he even realizes the taste or lack thereof of vodka anymore. It's like them saying that. I'd be shocked if he knew what water was.
That's funny. George?
Oh, man. I hope he wasn't driving at the time, Scott. And that goes without saying, obviously.
Yeah,
but
not either.
he has a right to celebrate. Why not? I mean, I know a lot of Russian people like vodka, and it's a celebratory thing. But yeah, instead of coffee, I can't handle that. I'd have to have the coffee first, that early in the morning. But all the more power to him. he can have some fun and enjoyment, and maybe that's what he would like to do. I'm all for it.
What about you, Cody?
I don't know how much more Russian can you get that you had vodka with your coffee.
Right.
That's literally probably their Aquafina to them. I wouldn't be surprised if he has it by the 5-gallon just in a dispenser right there next to him. Or most Russians would, but I mean,
he'd probably buy the factory to be able to have just the easy way of getting there.
Yeah, he probably start his own vodka business. I wouldn't be shocked with that either. But I mean, he deserves it. Why not? If I made the Hall of Fame like that, I would be celebrating like that or more.
Mike?
I hope he had a can of caviar with it, because for as long as he had to wait to get into the Hall of Fame, that's a shame. That guy should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Yeah.
Okay, onwards we go. There's only been 10 first-round picks drafted since 1988 that have actually been the number one picks that have won a Stanley Cup. I'm going to go over that list. Okay, it's an impressive list. Number one, Aaron Ekblad won 2 cups in 2024 and 25, drafted in 2014. Next, Nathan McKinnon, number 2, cups won in 2022, drafted in 2013. The third one is Steven Stamkos, cups 1, 2 in 2020 and 2021, drafted in 2008. Number 4, Patrick Kane. We all know him, George, right?
Yeah.
Won 3 in 2010, 13 and 15, drafted in 2007, now currently with the Detroit Red Wings. So he's won 3. Then you have Eric Johnson, he's with St. Louis Blues, and won 1 in 2022, drafted in 2006. Sidney Crosby, cups 1, 3 in 2009, 16 and 17, drafted in 2005. 7, Alex Ovechkin, cups 1 in 2018, drafted in 2004. 8 is Marc-Andre Fleury, won 3 in 2009, 16, 17 with the Penguins, drafted in 2003, had a good run with the Vegas Golden Knights. Next one, you have Vincent LeCavier, ended up winning one in 2004 for the Tampa Bay Lightning, drafted in 1998. And last, you have Mike Modano. Obviously, we all know he wears the number 9, won one cup in 1999 with the Dallas Stars, also on that list. So, okay, Jacob, pretty interesting list, but only 10 have managed.
You know how tough it is to get that guy, especially with the competitiveness of junior hockey. You can never tell. And remember, it's even tougher now. And I'm talking about in any sport, but especially hockey. Because, like, I'll give you an example. Wayne Gretzky said it himself. He put the sticks down. He put the sticks down and played baseball in the summer. Nobody puts the sticks down. So everybody, it is more and more competitive. Everybody is going for the NHL and go for the pro. So it's more competitive than ever. And all I can say is, oh my God, how tough can that be? And how much of a chance could it be for you to bomb, even compared to other sports? Especially as the game has changed so much, it is not that open of a game as it was, what we remember.
Great points, George.
Well, you got to remember too that the first draft pick overall is kind of an individual achievement, but winning the Stanley Cup obviously takes a team. And all those guys that you mentioned, Scott, are good. They have great qualities, being team players, being able to do multiple things on the ice, and no question about it. I don't question any of them. Two of them that I like that you have Detroit connections, of course, are Modano, who was born in Michigan, and Patrick Kane, who was ending his career as a member of the Detroit Red Wings. So hats off to them. It is a select list, and it's really something special, being drafted that high and number one, and then being on a Stanley Cup. But it takes a lot of skill, and that's what all those people have that you just mentioned, all the players.
Cody.
Yeah, George pretty much stole the words right out of my mouth. I mean, you can't, just because you're a number one pick doesn't mean you're guaranteed a Stanley Cup, or doesn't mean you're guaranteed the best player on your team sometimes. So it's just like George said, you need to have a full team around you to get you there. Like Crosby had a full team. Aaron Ekblad has had a full team. I mean, look at Connor McDavid, one of the best players in the world, but he doesn't have he has a great team around him, but just hasn't gone over that hump. So it's crazy just that I thought there would have been a little bit more number one picks with Stanley Cups.
Great point, Mike.
So when you're the team that picks number one, you worked pretty hard to get that pick. Worked pretty hard at being pretty bad to pick first overall. And I've been in those situations, and when you are picking first overall, you're trying to get that player that's hopefully going to win you a Stanley Cup one day. And as Jacob said, it's not easy. Probably not easy. It's not easy in any sport. But what I think is really unique about this list, and I only listened to them when you just spoke about who they were, Scott, but there was only one that came to mind out of that whole list of 10 that didn't win the Stanley Cup with the team that drafted him first overall, and that was Eric Johnson. I believe all those other players ended up being picked number one overall by a team that was hoping they were going to bring a Stanley Cup to them, and the other 9 did. I believe only Eric Johnson, who won it with the St. Louis Blues, was not drafted by the team that he won it with.
You said Johnson won in the 22, correct?
Yeah, with the Avalanche.
Yeah, it was with the Blues. Wait a minute, did he win? Did he win it in 19 or not?
No. I'm
He
sorry.
wasn't there. He wasn't in St. Louis.
Yeah, he wasn't in St. Louis, but he won it with the Avs. But I believe he's the only player that didn't win it with the original team that drafted him. Like,
Interesting, yeah.
his whole career. Well, to that point, right? Whether it's Stamkos or Modano, obviously was drafted in Minnesota, but the team moved to Dallas. Right. I mean, Ekblad was drafted by the Panthers. In fact, I was there when we drafted him. So Fleury, Crosby, Ovechkin. I mean, these guys are all picked number one because you're hoping when you pick them, they're going to be a guy that's going to No, not alone, but is going to lead you to a cup one day. And 9 of them did with the team that picked them. So I give those scouting staffs and those teams a lot of credit for picking the right guy because, as Jacob said, it's not easy to do.
Yeah, well, the only thing I'll say about the whole thing is this: everybody talks about tanking for the number one pick. But when you have the draft lottery, and obviously the Red Wings have bad luck when it comes to that draft lottery, and they haven't been able to get the number one pick. So it just goes to show you it's not even easy when you're bad to get the number one pick because of the way it's weighted. So interesting things to talk about. George, I have a quick question for you that you missed out on last night's edition of the Sports Exchange, but I wanted to get your opinion on this. How about giving me your comments about Ian and Noah Eagle doing the NFL Christmas games? These guys are both proven announcers, and obviously now they get their opportunity on Christmas Day to do separate play-by-play games.
I think it's outstanding. It is. You know, I've been a big fan of Ian Eagle for a long time. He's got a great voice, a great depth of knowledge, and I think it's very cool. I mean, I'm glad to see that they're both selected. These are games that are obviously on a streaming service, so they don't have the regular, national crews that we're used to on the commercial networks. But they'll do a great job. Both of them have done lots of football. NFL is special, and no, I think that's a good thing. It's always great to hear stories like that, Scott. I like it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
All right. Now, also, last night we talked about this on the Sports Exchange. So we'll go to a quick non-sports topic. Jacob, you don't have to worry about this one because you already answered it already. But Miami Airport actually tops a global list for lost luggage, a new study by shipping company ARC. George, your thoughts about Miami ending up on this list?
Oh, that's a list you don't want to be on. Oh my gosh. It's amazing how much. And I know it's a lot of work, and the whole system is very complex, of course, checking your luggage, making sure it gets on your plane. But come on. I mean, it's happening too frequently for our travelers. And obviously Miami is that's not a good situation because don't forget, you got a lot of people that are, in Miami to catch their cruise ships or, go down to the Caribbean, go to, South America or whatever on trips. But yeah, that's a distinction you don't want to have, losing the most luggage. But it's ridiculous to me. There's just so much of it that gets lost.
Hey, Candy, why don't you come on for this one real quickly, okay? If you're nearby, what are your thoughts about Miami being on this particular list about lost luggage? You and I only had to deal with them because we're flying international. And by the way, we're going to another trip to Europe around April 26th to May 10th. We're going back out there. But Candy, I mean, that's a big airport. I don't think you've ever flown out of that one, if I remember right.
We flew out of it to go to our first cruise. So to go to London, we flew out of it. So
maybe you weren't on that one, Scott.
Yeah.
That was Katie's other husband.
Hey, I'm going to be packing light the next time. I learned a lot from that first rodeo.
It's it is sad to see when airlines lose luggage, especially when you're going to your destination. It's not as bad when you're coming back, but when you're going to your destination. I mean, I remember, Scott, number of years ago when we went to Hawaii for a destination wedding, and one of the relatives actually they never found her luggage. Never. She didn't. It wasn't like she got it how many days later. So here you're going to a destination wedding. You're going to Hawaii. Not a lot of places to go shopping to recover anything in Hawaii. But so it's sad. I get it. They have a lot of luggage that they're going through there, but sad to see your luggage not making it to your destination. Knock on wood, I have not had that issue yet, and hopefully never do.
I hope not either. Cody?
All right, so note to self: when I go to Miami, only bring carry-on. Got it. No, that's good to know. Of course, it sucks that like 3 shirts for me fits in 1 carry-on, so that's a bummer for me.
Just trying. Hey, listen, we're a family show that gives out information wherever I get it. We like to throw in a non-sports topic every now and then, and I just thought for those people that like to travel, Jacob, this is a good piece of information, isn't it?
I saw that. We talked about it last night. Cody,
Yeah.
it's one thing when you say 3 of your shirts. Could you imagine 3 of Andre the Giant's shirts way back in the day?
Oh,
Oh Jesus, I could probably fit like 4 or 5 of me in him in one of
Yeah.
his.
So just imagine that.
What do you think, Mike?
I think what's really terrible about it is in this day and age, you pay to check your luggage. So not only do people not carry luggage on because they have to pay for it otherwise, now they want to also bring it on because they're afraid they're going to pay for it and they're going to lose it on them.
Yeah,
So
scary thought. Hey, George, you already commented on this, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, good. Well, all right, we'll move on. We have other stuff I want to get to. I had to get these 2 bad boys out. So, all right, Candy, we'll bring you out for more non-sports related stuff. Fire Up will be on around 9:30, 9:45 Eastern time. With that said, we're going to talk about the NHL's most unbreakable records. Wayne Gretzky, obviously, has 92 goals in the season. Nobody's touching that one. Teemu Selanne, 76 goals in rookie season. Ty Domi, 339 career fights. Oh, my God. Yeah, nobody's touching that one, especially in this day and age in the NHL. And then you have Daryl Sittler, 10 points in a single game. Wayne Gretzky, 3 straight 200-point season. Nobody's touching that. Goaltender Glenn Hall, 502 consecutive games played. And goaltender Frank, obviously, he was a goaltender. And then Frank Brophy had 16 goals in a game. And then Paul Laus of the Florida Panthers, 39 fights in a season. Mike, I'll start off with you on this. What do you think of some of this stuff?
I think the most untouchable record is the, 592 consecutive games in goal.
Yeah.
Glenn Hall, was it Glenn Hall?
Yeah.
Like that to me is the most untouchable in this day and age to play that many games. I mean, goaltenders can't play back-to-back games anymore. Never mind 592 consecutive games. So I think that's crazy. As nuts as some of the scoring records seem, I think we see this in every sport. And as we get older, all of a sudden, Hank Aaron's 714 home runs don't look so good, right? And then it's amazing. I know when you start looking at 92 goals in a season or 70 goals by a rookie, and you think it's crazy, but I also see players now that don't have to step into such a physical game anymore. The checking's not as close. Guys are doing things like the Michigan and toe dragging and everything else. And so I never put it past anybody to break some of these crazy scoring records, but 592 games consecutively in goal, I think that's the tops.
Okay. All right, George.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with Mike on this one because that's the one when you were reading that list that exactly jumped out at me also. And you're exactly right, Mike. I mean, you can't see a goaltender going anywhere near that. I mean, come on. It's a 2-man system in most cities that don't have a superstar, or at least, giving the guy a rest on back-to-back nights. But, Ty Domi in the fights too, Scott. You made a comment when you read that I agree with. We're not going to see that because we've cut back on so much of the fighting in the National Hockey League over the years. And so that's not going to be challenged at all. And there's other ones too, but those are the 2 that stand out for me, guys. It would be Glenn Hall and then the Domi thing.
Well, think about it. Okay. Jacob?
50 and 38. No way. Never. 50 and 38. That's not going to. There was a time, this wasn't a finished record, but there was a time in like 1988 or so where Mario Lemieux, early into the season, was on a set for pace for 223 points. Something absurd. Then it set. We know what happened, settled down, and all that. We're never going to see that. The game itself is not so wide open and fast like that. There's so many more people touching the puck now. Plus, he talked about Glenn Hall and all the 500 plus straight games. If you played them more than 4 straight games, lawyers would probably sue you now. So, I mean, I'm talking about athletes of any type, so that's not going to be able to happen. And you said 70 goals as a rookie. You talked about Teemu Selanne, correct?
Right.
Yeah, 76 goals. No, forget it. Forget that now because for one thing, Selanne as a rookie was ridiculously fast. He was he was basically the Connor McDavid of that time
Right.
as far as speed. You know, it was ridiculous. And I used to remember when the Teemu Solani and Paul Correa were on the same team. I was thinking that's going to be 3 or 4 cups, and see, that's when you're a teenager talking like that.
Thanks for the reminder for that, by the way.
Huh?
Thanks for the reminder on that.
No, yeah, no problem. Anytime. but it was one of those but then again, I was the guy that thought Brett Hull and Wayne Gretzky would take it all. So it's like there's just a lot of things that happen in between. Meantime, but there's just a lot of records. I don't think in this era we're going to see records never broke, just because the game, those records that we know of, never being broke, and and stuff like that are just from an era where everybody was so wide open and fast. Everybody was. It's like, and the goalies were different. Like, remember Grant Fuhrer was one of the last stand-up goalies.
Right.
So it's so they scored more because there was stand-ups, but there was also good goalies. Such a different game now. So we're not going to see that in the future. These type of hockey.
Cody.
Well, you guys took all the good answers. But no, I agree with Mike. It's definitely the goalie thing, especially this day and age with, everyone's taking care of their body a lot more, and it's just a completely different NHL than it used to be, and it's definitely the goalie thing that I think is definitely the most unbreakable. I would say other than that, it was the other one that George was saying, and I would say the rookie goals, like I don't think Teemu Solani's rookie goals is going to get beat because rookies are not even scoring 76 points in a season,
right?
Let alone goals.
A lot of them are scoring 38 in a season.
Yeah, I think was the last 3 or 4 Calder winners. All the highest they got was 66, 67 points. Yeah. So they're not even that, and that's points, not even goals. But not even Austin Matthews or Ovechkin have even hit the 76 goal mark.
Well, Cody, like I said, everything. All I can think of is the greatest thing about hockey now is that you can never have a Mike Keenan trying to coach it anymore. It's such a different game. It's so much more strategy. Yeah. So much more. The lines come in so much quicker, and it's more efficient, more smooth. There's a lot more. Everything. It's A to B to C to D. It's like, you don't see many breakaways. You don't see many just holding the puck and going all the way down to score. That's Wayne Gretzky's day. It's just a differerent world.
I don't know. You haven't been watching the Ducks lately. They're giving up breakaways left and right.
I'm seeing what you're saying, but I'm talking about not in comparison to 80, not in comparison to 84 or 5.
Yeah, no, I know.
Well, let me tell you, when I looked at these numbers, the one that really blew me away was Frank Brophy scoring 16 goals in a game. 16 in a game.
Oh my God!
Hey, listen, I looked at this stuff, and some of these things you just look at 15 in a game. So, anyways, that's why I come up with some of these interesting lists, because my goal is to get everybody's mind to thinking these types of topics. To me, are really what it's all about.
Did he score on Gump Worsley?
Yeah, no, I don't know. That's funny. All right, so that is. You know how to throw me off with some of these, Jacob. That's for sure. And you definitely threw a curveball there. So I ask everybody a question out there. Obviously, the NHL is considering a September start date for next year, 2026, 2027 season. Good move or bad move? Jacob, we go rapid fire on this.
Yeah, it depends. It doesn't even matter if it's good or bad. It's completely necessary because all the sports are so competitive now. You have to be able to get a start right away, because you got to remember you're going into October. You're going in October, and by that time, you've had the NFL. You've had the NFL going a month and a half, and then people don't show up. People don't show up, and until November, December when they're doing NHL. So this is just to basically get people's attention that we're on, because all these sports are going to start earlier because of that. Tennis and golf start so early. All these others start so early, and they go 6 weeks at a time with their off seasons, just because. You have to let the world know that you're there. Otherwise, you're just going to get run over.
Okay, George.
I don't like it, and I'll tell you why. There's 3 reasons why. NCAA football, NFL football, and Major League Baseball the chase to make the playoffs. I think it's ridiculous to think that the hockey fans are going to buy in September and come to games, regular season games. I'm talking, of course. We all know that there's preseason exhibition. That goes without saying. But no, I think it's too much. Now, I know that on the flip side, on the back end, it's too long too. To end the season in June is absurd. But I don't like the idea of competing against those three major whoppers, if you will, in sports coverage. Of course, the NFL owns American television for months and months and months. But I don't like it, Scott. I would rather stick with the October start.
No, George, and I'm agreeing with you. Don't get that wrong. But what I was meaning is it doesn't matter what my agreement or what that thing is. I know exactly why they're doing it. It's like you get into October start, and you've got, like I said, 6 weeks of NFL before they even start. Then they are on the back end so quick to try to get any attention. They're trying to keep the attention going. So are a lot of these other sports. It's just NFL blows it away. Then NBA, remember NBA goes ahead of NHL. So it's just they're just trying to keep the attention going. And then also you said it yourself, June.
Yeah.
Cody?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, because one, we're going to an 84 game schedule next year, and maybe we're not going to get as much condensed games, especially during the years of Olympics and the World Cup of hockey. You'll have more spread out, so we'll probably have less injuries, less back-to-back games, more and less injuries for those years. So might as well start getting used to it. Yeah, it's going to suck getting trying to compete against the NFL and men's college football and everything. But if you stay away from like most of those nights, I know like Saturdays and Sundays are like everyone can usually go to, but I mean the NHL's they could play 7 days a week. NFL and college football, they're only playing on one, maybe a couple days a week, but the NHL can take over the other days. And that way, when the Stanley Cup finishes, it's not so close to the draft. It's not so close to free agency. There's actually time in between for everyone to reset. So I think it's a good idea to start a little sooner. Plus, my birthday is like at the beginning of October, so I like to be able to go to a game on my birthday. So that's just me being,
That's you being you.
That's just me being me, because that's usually like I just tell people like, just give me Ducks tickets and I'll be happy.
What do you think, Mike? I know one thing before I turn over to Mike. I didn't get this guy on until after Thanksgiving. You think I'm getting him on in September? This guy's running marathons, for crying out loud. I should also let everybody know that Sports Wrap is presented by, Hockey Operations LLC. Candy, just so everybody knows out there, Mike is in charge of the company, and he's a proud sponsor of our show. So, yeah, getting Mike on any earlier than September is a puncher's chance. I love having my man on anyways. But I'm glad we got him on after Thanksgiving when things heat up. Mike, so I'm not crazy about the idea. I kind of like where it's at. What are your thoughts, Mike?
I don't like it at all, but I don't think they care what I think or what any of us think. They're just doing what every other sport's doing right now. I mean, baseball starts in March now, and it ends in pretty much November 1st. College football starts in August now.
Right.
And now it goes to February, right? And they're talking about adding to that playoff system.
Right.
And you can go on and on, what they're really doing, I mean, look, face it, they're doing it for money, right?
Yeah.
Right? And they all play on any day of the week now. I mean, you can turn on, NFL football at some point. There's games now on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And if a holiday like Christmas next week falls on another day, they'll play on that day. They play on Thanksgiving now. I mean, none of that used to happen when us older guys were young, right, George? I mean, the worst thing about the holidays was there were no games on to watch.
Yeah, that's right.
Family all day. But yeah, I mean, it's all been done for money. The biggest problem I see, and hockey's just like all the other sports, so I'm not going to just blame them. is they're making people choose a sport. I think, Jacob and George, Scott, I don't want to speak for you, Cody, because you're younger, but when we grew up, every sport had a season. And, and when baseball was over, you went and threw the football around on the street or in the yard, right? And then when that was over, and the NCAA basketball tournament started, everybody was in their driveway shooting hoops, right? And then the bats and the wiffle balls came out, in April again every year, and everything had a season. And now they're pretty much saying, well, we're all going to play at the same time, so you pick the one you want to watch.
Yeah.
Hey, Cody, and we also went 6 miles up the hill and 7 miles down to school every single day.
Right.
Yeah, you went uphill going to school, and you went uphill coming back.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And my dad rode a T-Rex to get to high school too. So I know that. Yeah, I've heard it all.
Well, yeah, I just think it's crazy. I think they're making you say, pick your sport, because you can't watch all of them, and you can't watch all of them at the same time. And and that's part of, I think the younger generation now, they just don't watch sports the same way we do.
Right.
They're looking for the quick hit, whether it's on their phone, whether it's, to see how their fantasy players are doing, but they're not immersed in every game like we were.
Hey, Mike,
yeah,
you're right on this. I had a buddy of mine, I was having a debate with him a couple of years ago, and I was saying, what are they doing this or this as far as that? He showed me a chart. 53% of kids around the ages that we started watching it watch a full game.
Yeah.
And it used to be 97.
Oh,
So,
I believe that.
I mean, that's why fantasy anything is so big, and it has to stay big because no one will watch otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in, George, you're a Detroit guy. I grew up in Boston. We had American League baseball teams. That's all we saw.
That's right.
or I should say, that's all we listened to on the radio. And we got to see them when we got a chance to see them.
Yeah.
And, they came up with NBC at a game of the week on Saturday afternoons.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I remember. Hell yeah.
sometimes you got to see a National League team. And I can remember my mom kicking me in the behind saying, I don't care what you do, but you're not doing it in the house. Get the hell out of here. And I'd be like, but the Cubs were playing the Cardinals. I've never seen Lou Brock before.
Yeah, right.
Like, but you stayed and you watched that stuff, and you watched every game, no matter what the score was or what was happening, because that's the only exposure you had to it.
Yep.
I mean, when I was young, I know like my generation younger than me is definitely not the same. And even people my age aren't the same, but I woke up probably like earlier than I needed to when I was a kid. And the first thing I would put on was Sports Center.
Yeah.
Or if I had to go somewhere with my parents, I'm like, give me your radio. And I would listen to the, is it 8 a.m. 8:30?
You had a
that's where
radio?
the Ducks were. Yeah, we had a radio. And if I had to go to a meeting, like my parents' meetings, I'm like, let me listen to the Ducks or Angels. Give me something to listen to. I wasn't listening to the radio Disney or whatever music. No, I was usually listening to the games because that's how I was.
Yeah.
Or if I had to go to their Bible study, I'm like at some random person's house, I'm like, point me to the TV where I can watch the game.
Yeah.
That's how I was.
You were getting your blessing there.
Yeah.
George.
Yeah. I was praying, please let Timu Solani score in this game, sir.
Right.
Yeah. George, you and I didn't have Sports Center. We were watching a 1:45 sports cast at 6, and if we were lucky enough to stay up at 11:27, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Show.
And Scott and I remember the names too, like Al Ackerman, Dave Dials.
Yeah, we do.
And
I had
then
Don Cricky for the morning, 6 a.m.
And he mostly he had to try to get all those scores in too. Now, Mike, hey, they don't have time for any scores on local TV, but we'll talk about that another day. Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, you're right. We live for that. Mike, since you brought up Boston, I think you'll like this one. Zdeno Charo's number 33 is going to be retired by the Bruins on January 13th, and he's also been hired by the Boston Bruins. What are your thoughts about the recognition that Zdeno Chara is getting out in Boston? Finally, certainly well deserved.
I am psyched. I was with the New York Islanders when we drafted Zdeno Chara, I watched him play in Prince George as a 17-year-old. I have been close to him since then. Even I was in Long Island when he was traded to Ottawa. I've stayed in touch with him right to this day, and I'm a little upset because I took up marathoning, and of course he had to one up me, and he took it up a couple years ago, and so now every couple of months I see he's run the Boston Marathon, and then he ran the Chicago Marathon in October, and I get a text message as soon as he finishes it. And he is much younger than I am, but he doesn't ease up on me. So good for him, man. One of the classiest, best, soft-spoken leaders. I mean, obviously everybody knew where he was on the ice. He was a big man. He was tough. He could handle himself when he had to. He could stick up for his teammates. But a real mild-mannered guy. Worked at his craft and worked on his body like nobody I've ever seen. The only other person I could compare him to off the ice as far as working out is probably Rod Brindamore.
Okay.
Yeah, just a great guy. Maybe the greatest free agency signing, definitely the greatest free agent signing the Boston Bruins ever made. When they signed him.
Yeah, when I saw this topic, I knew that you would definitely be getting a little bit psyched up about this one because I know you've always spoken highly about Zdeno Chara.
Two of the players I have the closest relationship with, as far as guy and most respect for, that played for me, were Zdeno Chara and Paul Kariya.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So talk Cody.
Both of them.
Yeah, man. Paul Kariya is one of my favorites as well. But no, the whole thing with Zdeno, like I've heard nothing but great things about him. 100% deserving that his jersey number is going to get retired. I mean, maybe you should try to run with him, Mike. At least you can, get the drag right behind him. And at least you got a shadow the whole time. That could help.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll know where he's at all times. He'll be a good 2 feet taller than everybody else running. But I mean, he was so much fun to watch. I believe he was part of the Senators when they played the Ducks in that final, was he not?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
So like I said, I remember him there. But I think I remember when he went to the Boston, I was like, wow, that's a great move for Boston, and he did bring him a Stanley Cup, and he is definitely one of those silent leaders that everyone talks about. You don't always need to be the most vocal, but he is I would say probably one of the best silent leaders in the history of NHL.
George.
Yeah, and they're playing the Red Wings that night. Isn't that a nice little original six matchup, Scott? That's a great opportunity for Zdeno Chara. I mean, he's had a great career and certainly deserves it. That's going to be the hottest ticket in Beantown, man. But Mike, you deserve you deserve a front row seat for that one. With your connection with him. Thank you for sharing that about how long you go back with him, Mike.
Jacob,
could you imagine the the reinforced wire it would take to put his jersey into the rafters?
Yeah.
As big as he was.
Well, it's just his jersey. They don't need to make a bigger one. It's just his jersey.
Yeah, no kidding. No, that dude was. It was always so funny to watch it on ice because you realize if he goes down, that's the only way he's going down because on feet, no one's knocking him down. You never seen. Here's the thing: when you always saw hockey, especially when we were growing up, you'd see guys maybe 6'2" or 3", maybe 4 once in a while, but you never saw 6'9". And then he moved like that. And then you never saw 280 on the ice. You never saw those. It's like he was just completely different. And now athletes can be anything in hockey now. That's the biggest difference. And he definitely changed things. And good for him to get the cup and good for him to get him retired.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I may have told this story before. But every time I went into a building where he was on the opposition's team, he would find me to say hello.
Huh.
And my first year back in Florida, which would have been the 2010-11 season, the year they won the cup, actually, we went into Boston. We had a very young team. And after the game, he got undressed quickly and he ran down the hall and he threw open the door to our locker room, and there are all of our young players. And he comes in and they're all looking up at him and he says, "Where's Mike Santos?" And they all said, and points to the coach's office. In other words, they gave me up quick.
It's like Ivan Drago.
Yeah, he was just coming to say hello, but they thought that he wanted a piece of me for something. They were just
You would have whooped him, Mike.
yeah.
Well, you know what I like about this whole thing? Number one, we know he's a great player, but the thing is, his number was 33. Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah.
Number 33 is my lucky number.
Oh,
So you know what
Which is why you
33
like Larry
stands?
Bird.
Well, that's okay. That's another story. I have my reasons for it. We'll talk about another time. So anytime you wear the number 33, people, it's a beautiful thing. Legends wear number.
He started as number 3 with the Islanders, then he wore number 3 with Ottawa, and then he switched to 33 when he went to Boston.
Doesn't matter. 33 is my lucky number.
That's awesome. But with all and you know what else? I know I keep going on this, but that's how much I like this guy.
That's fine.
Nowadays, you know, every arena, stadium, or facility, there's statutes everywhere up for everybody. You know, like this is a guy that deserves that kind of honor. You know, retiring a number. I mean, you see it. I think a lot with some expansion teams. They can't wait to throw somebody's number up in the rafters or put a statue.
yeah.
And it's really kind of cheapened the honor.
Right.
But this guy really deserves it.
Well, I mean, think about this. David Wells could not get number 3 in New York's Babe Ruth Award, so he took 33. 33 people stands for greatness. All right. Well, we'll go from greatness to anything but. Okay. Sorry to put a damper on this one, but is it this we don't have to spend a lot of time on this as we have more to go here on Sports Wrap. But Tom Galvin, the chair of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, is looking to lead efforts to bring the NHL back to Arizona. Oh my goodness, as if the Arizona Coyotes were bad. Where are they going to put the building? Jacob, you think that the NHL is going back to Arizona?
No.
They could make this a rapid fire.
Awful. It's an awful idea. And it's like, and people, here's the deal. People say Atlanta's a bad idea, can be or cannot be, but at least it's a major metropolitan city where people have a chance to find it and be able to do. I mean, you're basically fighting the Roadrunner and the Coyote to go find the stadium.
Yeah, no, that's bad. George,
Looney Tunes.
You and I know about this all too well, don't we, George?
Oh, we sure do, Scott. You've chronicled the woes and crazy pratfalls of hockey in Arizona for years and years and years. But I agree. I think this is not a good idea right now. I don't think the league is going to be interested in it at least this quickly. And I agree with you, Jacob. I mean, Atlanta, and there's some other towns that are more deserving right now. So let it just cool down and not have it, at least not for now.
Yeah, Arizona Coyotes, Arizona and NHL. I have only 3 words for it. Don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. That's 4 words, by the way. All right, go ahead. We'll turn it over to Cody.
I don't think it's the right time or anything like that. I'd rather go to, give Atlanta its 100th time try, and
right.
I think Houston would probably be a better choice than. I'd rather even see like Indianapolis before I see Arizona.
Let's send it to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send him to Kansas City and Milwaukee.
You know,
Kansas City's got a
let's just
stadium
put one
already
in.
there.
We'll just put one in Hawaii too before we do Arizona. At least that one
Yeah.
might be a better
Yeah, not-
location.
It'll be the Hawaii Magnums.
Yeah, not
Jesus.
holding my breath in my lifetime. Remember, rapid fire, we got more to go, but I'm not holding my breath. Kansas City has a building already built for it. I think they deserve another chance at the Scouts, but don't hold your breath. In Arizona, Mike Santos has the last word on it. I have a couple more good topics before we hit station break. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that everybody else has said. It's it ran a long course there. It's not like it was in and out for a few, over a couple of years or a few years. I mean, it was there for a long time. They played in 3 different buildings. One of them was brand new. They had several different owners. I think the market is very similar to the one here in South Florida, where sure, if they had a championship caliber team, people will show up for the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it's a very transient market. I think it's a snowbird market. I think people, like they do here in South Florida, will show up. If they're from Toronto, they'll show up when the Maple Leafs are in town. If they're from Detroit, they'll show up when the Red Wings are in town. But nobody's interested in season tickets for that team. I think that's part of it. And I'm not a big fan of Atlanta either for the 3rd time. And I think you'll see the NHL put a full division in Europe or in Scandinavia before you'll see these kind of markets. Like,
Yeah, let me go to Eddie Prather in the chat room. He's really been great all night. How about the city that hasn't had an NHL team? No question about that. And here's another one that he puts up there. Don't give a retread city another chance. I agree for the most part, although I think Atlanta would be all right only because if they put it in the suburbs, they have a pitcher's chance there. But Eddie's right on point. Let's continue. Now we went from bad / ugly. Portland, I don't know about that. Too small of a market out there. I don't think you're going to be able to do anything with Seattle and Denver. I like the idea, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. Now we went from the ugly with the Coyotes to another guy who's an icon in San Jose, and that person is Joe Thornton. Has been hired by the San Jose Sharks as a player development coach, hockey operations advisor. We'll start off with you, Mike. How do you like the hire up in San Jose with Joe Thornton?
I don't know Joe personally. Obviously, he had a long, great career. Was a fixture in San Jose for a great part of his career. Everything you hear about him, he's a leader. He's a guy that the players, especially young players, are drawn towards. So yeah, I don't have any problem with what they're doing with him. Advisor, development director, like what is he, right? I mean, I think too many of these advisor titles get thrown around and guys don't really do anything. But if he's committed to doing something like player development or working with young guys, then I think it'd be great.
Cody?
No, I agree with Mike. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have probably one of the greatest Sharks of all time in your help coaching your youth and stuff like that? I mean, Jumbo Joe is probably one. I mean, definitely, like I said, the best Shark to ever play. And, I know he's either Will Smith or Macklin Celebrini's living with, I think it's Macklin Celebrini's living with him right now. And like how well Macklin Celebrini's playing right now, just probably learning from Joe Thornton. So, I mean, I would, if I was a youth, player, why wouldn't you want to be learning from someone like Jumbo Joe?
George?
Oh yeah, Joe's had a great career in the NHL, and I like you, Mike. I haven't really had a chance to do much interview or anything, but I know that his record speaks for itself. He really is a team player, and a lot of teams do this. We've seen it so many times. Steve Yzerman in Detroit. I mean,
Right.
You go down the list. Anybody in any city, they bring in a lot of the former players. But just bringing them in for name only doesn't work. What works is he has a relationship, he has good techniques, he has a background in talking to players, especially younger players or whatever. So I think it's a good move. I think that they've done the right thing in bringing Joe back.
Jacob.
You know something? I really believe that Wayne, as the coach, allowed this. I think it's a theory of mine. Okay, Wayne's failure as a coach so darn much. I think it now seen instead of just sticking a name in there. Now we're going to give you an advisory. Now you're going to work with the young people first. They're going to see from a distance how you do with people and if you're a good coaching material or not. Now, Joe Thornton, that's an all-time great, but you got to remember how many stars and how many sports failed as coaches. They can't coach it. I mean, stars have a hard time explaining why they were the greatest. They just can't. They had some kind of thing. It's like Ted Williams in baseball. He was a failure as a manager himself. You can't explain greatness like that. Your eye, an eye for the thing like that. You can't. So it's like, and that's the same point with a lot of stars. It's like they're going to look from a distance now who's really, whether they're stars or not, who's really up for coaching. That's a good move that they made.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's definitely a guy that they can relate to in that market and had great success there. But to bring a guy like him to take on that responsibility, ownership had to see something that, hey, we got a guy who's the face of our franchise, is what we have, and we believe he can lead us going forward for sure. Okay, we have one more topic before we go to a station break, and we'll bring Katie on in a moment. Then we'll also add a non-sports topic as well. So Kenny Albert and Dave Maloney paid respect to Sam Rosen and Joe Micheletti as they called their first regular season game. You talk about passing the torch, Mike. This is definitely a way to do it. I already know how I feel about Kenny Albert to begin with. He's a guy that I really think a lot of. He was nice enough to do a show with me. We've been friends for a long time. We know that Sam Rosen and Joe Micheletti are great, and Dave Maloney. You have 4 great hockey minds for sure. So, Mike, what are your thoughts about that passing of the torch?
I mean, obviously, I was been a big fan of a lot of the different broadcast teams that the Rangers have had through the years. Sam and JD, Sam and Joe Micheletti. As somebody who spent years in the New York market, I don't know if other, hockey fans understand that the broadcasters in the New York market are not usually specific to one sport. I mean, you can watch Kenny Albert do an NFL game on Sunday afternoon and then the Rangers at night, or maybe the Knicks the next night, Sam was the same way. I don't know. I mean, he sort of became the Rangers play-by-play guy, but I mean, Sam did a lot of football. He did a lot of other sports. It's just the nature of that market. So they're good broadcasters. Most of them went to Syracuse University for one reason or another. Now there's just another crew of them, right? Well, there was Ian Eagle, who we were speaking about before. I mean, all these type of guys are sort of those New York market born and bred guys. I will tell you, when I was with the Islanders, Joe Micheletti was our color guy the entire time I was there before he moved over to the Rangers, and he was fantastic. A lot of people don't know about his background, but he was a great player and won a national championship with the University of Minnesota. In fact, beat Mike Eruzione in Boston University in the Frozen Four to win that title. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I know Kenny Albert, terrific guy. I know Dave Maloney, terrific guy. I just think it's a real unique market where I don't look at New York broadcasters in any sport like I would look at Ernie Harwell in Detroit,
Right.
or in my day, Fred Cusick in Boston with the Bruins, or Johnny Most. The New York market's just different. So no slight with them, but it's just different.
Okay, Cody.
Yeah, pretty much what Mike said. Since I don't get to listen to them over here on the West Coast, so I really don't have much on this topic. So
That's okay, George.
Yeah, you're bringing some big names out, man. You're bringing up some big guns. These guys are great behind the mic, no question about it. Sam Rosen, I know, has done a lot on NFL as well, as we
Right.
know. And, I just love his voice. I got to tell you, to me, that means hockey when I hear his voice, when I hear a broadcast. Kenny Albert, that's different because, like you said, Mike, a lot of them have multiple sports they're doing. Sam did a couple of them at least too. Well, Kenny's all, Marv, was all into all sports too. And I understand that in New York, like you said. But I think that anytime you pass the baton, it's tough. And it's tough because those of us that wanted to latch on to the old, the ones that we grew up with, like you guys said, the ones that made it fun for us to listen and follow our team, that's always a tough moment and tough. And we know in Detroit, Scott, of course, with Ernie Harwell as the prime example of saying, move on. But no, I'm glad you brought this up because those guys are some great guys. And no question that they'll have great turnaround, but I'm still going to miss the old guards.
Well, again, Sam Rosen and Kenny Albert are guys that are just known for their national broadcasts. That's why I even brought this up.
Yeah.
Anytime you can broaden your local broadcasting into national, that certainly makes you more nationally recognizable for sure. Jacob?
Well, I loved how you guys brought up Johnny Most. I hear it in my head forever. But let me tell you this too. We talk about Sam Rosen, you hear him in the NFL, and you talk about any of these. And by the way, I love when you brought up Joe Micheletti because I remember him doing side ice at Blues games.
Yep.
In the 90s. I remember that. Right. No, the big thing now is we used to that. But if you grew up and if you have some gray hairs and you have everything, Chris Schenkel did about 9,200 sports.
Yeah.
I mean, Keith Jackson did about 8,000 himself. You get all the. They're coming. The announcers are starting to come back to that a little bit. They're kind of because you had specialization for about 20, 25 years. And now they're starting to come back to that where they're doing a multitude of sports again. Why? I don't know. Are they trying to go old school, or is it just the time we're at, or is it just kind of a cycle?
All right. Well, you know what? I know one guy that Cody does know a lot about, and then we'll go to the station break. His name is LA Kings John Kelly, who's obviously the new play-by-play announcer for FanDuel Sports Network. Everybody knows John Kelly from his days at the St. Louis Blues. How do you like John Kelly, Cody?
I haven't listened to him yet, but from what I've heard is everyone's liked him so far. I know everyone misses Nick Nixon, but I'm just glad they got someone that has the experience of doing the on-air and broadcasting and everything like that. I guess I believe my dad says he likes likes him so far. So like I said, I haven't listened to many Kings games just with my busy schedule. I'm mostly focusing on the Ducks. That's why we each cover our own team. But when I have heard a little bit, I mean, he sounds great. He sounds like he's fitting in, and there's been no complaints around here.
Okay. All right. Mike?
We were talking about broadcasters before, and now we're talking about them again. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. And I mean, no one on this panel has grown up with probably as great a broadcaster as Jacob. I mean, St. Louis, when it comes to sports broadcasting, and especially families of sports broadcasters, if you want to talk about Jack Buck and Joe Buck, and now you want to talk about the Kellys. I mean, Dan Kelly was as good as there ever was broadcasting the St. Louis Blues. And so I thought this was really interesting that he's getting back in the game, so to speak. But again, these guys were especially the Kellys, like they were legendary hockey broadcasters. They weren't guys that were doing 4 different sports. I mean, I didn't grow up in St. Louis, but I knew who the heck Dan Kelly was.
Well, and you brought up, and your thing is another one I can say is Joe Garagiola, and he did professional wrestling and baseball.
Right.
Well, when you think about John Kelly, Dan Kelly's the guy that stands out to me. I once met Dan many years ago here in Pompano Beach, and when the St. Louis Cardinals were in town visiting the Texas Rangers, Dan's a nice guy, and to me, But when you have John Kelly following in his footsteps, so to speak, it's unbelievable. And the LA Kings definitely got a great announcer for sure. All right, Katie, we'll go to a station break.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40 plus years in the media business and how it has evolved and changed. And the foreword is written by another panelist here, Mr. George Eichhorn. Great job, gentlemen. The book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show or actually be on a show, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Just click it, like us, share us, and then tune in and turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. Back to you, Scott.
All right, thanks very much, Katie. Everybody should know that this broadcast is presented by Hockey Operations LLC. You know, Mike, before we go on to our next topic, why don't you give everybody an overview about hockey operations, your business?
I wish I could say we're making millions right now, Scott, but we're not. But we're moving forward, and a couple of exciting things in the hockey operations world. One is Sports Business Advisors. We're working with the ECHL. We're also working with the Allen Americans in the ECHL. We're doing some pretty cool stuff there, and I think there's going to be some big announcements come springtime regarding the league and some things that we're putting together for the league. Formerly Team 33, now rebranded as the Hockey Intelligence Agency. We had a great meeting today with the NHL Alumni Association, and I'm really expecting that at this time next year, everybody on this panel, as well as thousands of hockey fans, will be using the new Hockey Intelligence Agency app on their phone. So we may not need this show anymore, Scott. Everybody's going to have the information right at their fingertips.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. So, all right. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and continue on. Have a lot more to get to here on Sports Wrap. Glad everybody's with us, having a good time here. So let's go ahead and take this one out of the country, and I mean literally and figuratively out of the country, as Harrison Burke is the first skater in South Africa to play in the National Hockey League. Some thoughts, Jacob?
I mean, this era is cool running. It's only hockey. I mean, that's just the way it is. Everything's going across the world now. Remember this part. It's like you go to the NBA and they have a whole NBA Africa League.
Yeah.
You know, you got baseball, and the first thing that was back after COVID was Korean baseball.
Yeah.
This is a smaller world now, so it's like there's not going to be. There's 193 countries in the whole world, I believe 193. And the thing is, they probably all know every sport now. That's the biggest thing in comparison. You couldn't go, oh, hockey, hey, what's that? You can't, and there's not that anymore. It's just a different world we're in.
George?
Well, yeah, again, I think this is a sign of the times. We're more of a global sport now, the NHL, and as we know, they've taken their product over to Europe and all around the world, and I think this is good. I mean, we can cultivate and develop more talent in any continent in the world to play professional hockey. I'm all for it. And as far as the markets go, the sky's the limit, really. I mean, we're a global market now. We all know that, and everything that happens, and especially in hockey and sports like this, we really need to definitely open up the doors, so to speak, to let the new young breath of fresh air come in and try and make a name and be hopefully a great player someday. So I'm all for it.
Cody.
No, yeah, this is just great. I mean, we just had the first.
What were you saying, Cody?
Sorry, I won't have it on my mic. We just had the first Asian-born kid drafted like this last year. Or the earliest ever. I mean, the sport is growing more and more in different countries, and this is what everyone wants: is just more global recognition for the game of hockey. So I think this is fantastic that we're growing more out there in other countries.
Yeah, South Africa intrigues me. By the way, Taylor Phillips, glad to have you on Facebook. Feel free to shout out to me anytime you want. If you ever want to come on the air again, you're a great young announcer. Love to have you, so feel free to reach out. Thanks for chiming in tonight. Mike, South Africa, unbelievable that we're able to find a skater born there in the NHL.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the other guys have said, the global exposure of the sport is just crazy now. But with that comes facilities. I mean, there are facilities in places where they never had facilities, especially ice rinks. That's one thing. But I think most importantly, I look at hockey players now, particularly young players and NHL players, and I look at them more as complete athletes than I did maybe 25 or 30 years ago. I mean, hockey players were sort of unique. I can remember I hated drafting or signing goaltenders from Europe because they couldn't catch, right? I mean, Henrik Lundqvist, who's in the Hall of Fame now, couldn't catch a puck to save his life. He's a great goalie, but I think that hockey players now are better, more well-rounded athletes, and they're going to attract. The sport's going to attract great athletes, and there are going to be facilities for these great athletes, and training facilities, and coaches, and exposure to the game everywhere. So we're going to see more of it.
Okay, great stuff. All right, let's talk about Carter Hart. Obviously landed in Las Vegas. This also led to, but think about this. This goes back to the point where when he landed there, the Golden Knights actually revoked their reporter's credential about hockey question regarding Hockey Canada's rape case. This obviously has been talked about a lot, Jacob. But what are your thoughts about Carter Hart being in Vegas? And of course, the one thing we're taking away a reporter's credential about a rape case, but this is a subject which is sensitive. You know, George and I, there may be borderline questions. If people are one thing reluctant to ask them, it's one thing. We'll start off with Jacob, and then we'll go around the horn.
You said a rape case. You were. It looks like you went to two different places. Or where were you? You brought up a rape case. I always want to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is there was a case in Canada. We know many years ago Mike Tyson got thrown in jail for rape convictions in Indianapolis. But this guy obviously has landed in Vegas. What are your thoughts about him landing in Vegas? And then the second part of the question, Jacob, and everybody else take note of how I'm asking this, is the fact that they went ahead and revoked his credential.
Yeah, because of the rape case, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. There's where thing is now is this is where we talked about on Pundit's Pundit. We talked about this with falsifying. I'm not saying it's false. Don't get that wrong. But we talked about the other cases before that were falsified. Brian Burns and a bunch of others. A lot of these people are taking these cases. Like I'm talking about the owners, a lot of the front offices. They're taking the cases grain of salt. I hate to say it. I mean, we just saw the reason with Matt Rice, the punt got in for Kansas City. I finally got him, but they saw that case. It's like, yeah, they pulled the credential, they do all that stuff, but someone landing there. They're just taking things with a grain of salt right now and just see, well, if you're guilty, you're gone. They don't, because before we were seeing these part of these years where, okay, if you even have an accusation, your career's over. We've seen that, and now, but we've also saw a horrible amount of accusations that were false. So now they're not taking they don't know what to do. That's the main thing. I don't think anybody in any sport knows what to do with this situation, especially with they don't want to get sued for false. If they were wrong, they don't want to get sued for killing a career and for a false report.
George.
Yeah, I mean, this is always a very sensitive issue to talk about. I mean, just to refresh everybody, as you know, the Canada's 2018 World Junior team was acquitted of sexual assault, and you know, the thing is that I'm not in favor of holding somebody back. I mean, unless it's a heinous crime, of course, I wouldn't want them back in the league. But if you do show remorse, you do, pay your dues or pay your fines sometimes. I'm a proponent of giving the guy another chance. That being said, I mean, you got to live by the rules and just, as they say, keep clean. And it's a situation that we've seen in many sports, but I would like to see a new start from Carter Hart and see how things go in Vegas and that sort of thing. But I mean, that was a very serious situation what they were accused of back there in the World Junior team in Canada.
Cody.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he got a second chance and stuff like that. And I think Vegas is probably a good way to get that second chance. Not as a high reporting city, I would say, not like being in Canada or back in Philadelphia where he was. But for the reporter to get revoked his credentials, I was just reading up on it because I remember hearing about it, but I just didn't remember he wasn't just going after Carter Hart, he was also going after Bruce Cassidy and Noah Hannafin and just ambushing players and asking them questions about this whole Carter Hart situation. So, I mean, you can't be just attacking random people like that. I don't think that's right, but I get he's just doing his job.
Well, here's the thing, too, and this is the thing, bud. There's so many journalists now that are all feelings. Feelings, and they're going after it. It's like there's part of them in their head that they absolutely don't believe that anybody is innocent. On the thing, it's a feelings deal. They hear the story and they get that, and that's what they do. And here's the thing: they won't apologize if it's proven wrong. They just think in their head that that's a jock, so it's going to be a rapist, or it's going to be any of that. They have that thought that they do this in every sport.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very high-profile case, especially in Canada and throughout the hockey world. I believe there were 8. Does that sound right? 8 players that were charged.
There's 5.
5, okay. They were all NHL caliber players, or at least drafted by NHL teams. They were acquitted, but there was obviously some bad things that went on. If you followed the case at all. Carter Hart is playing hockey again because of the 5. He was probably the most talented. It's as simple as that. So Vegas said, like any sports teams do these days, we don't really care about that. We just care that he can stop the puck. So they signed him. I don't think that Carter Hart nor the Vegas Golden Knights should be in a situation where they're shielding him from speaking to the media. The media have a job to do, whether you think they do it well or they don't do it well. They do have the right to ask these questions. And I also understand that the term media is much more complex these days because
Right.
anybody with a cell phone can be a media person in this
Right.
day and age. But if Carter Hart, who's the only one to get a second chance here, is going to sign a contract where he's going to be paid handsomely, play in the National Hockey League, and he's a goaltender. He's not a fourth line player. He's a front and center player. Then he should expect, and the Golden Knights should expect that he face the music, so to speak, and he answer questions. And if he does that, I think it moves on. I think they've made a bigger situation out of this by doing what they did with the reporter's credentials.
Yeah, being a longtime member of the media, I think taking away the credential revoking it's going a little too far. You can't stop a guy from doing their job, regardless of what their position is. And I understand the nature of what you're saying, Mike, and you're right. The reality is the fact that we do have a job to do, and people have to recognize that. And yes, you're right. Everybody that has a cell phone feels they're a part of the media, but the ones that really get approved are the ones that are the accredited ones anyways for the most part. And I totally get where you're coming from. Like,
Scott, you're correct that they have a job to do. Someone like you takes your job seriously, but you've been that guy who's been, like we've talked about this from the book. Yeah. You've been that guy who's been in the cigarettes and typewriters rooms that took their job seriously.
Right.
It's like you take the job seriously and get all that, and you were in the time that they questioned. They really had a job to do. There are some that have a bone to pick. There are some that just have a bone to pick. They just do not believe. And it's like, if he is, this is the thing. If he's not guilty, they still go after Matt Araiza to this day, and they end up finding out he wasn't even there.
Right.
It's like there are people with a bone to pick now because they call that thing. You're from a different world of the media. A lot of the media now pretend.
I can appreciate where you're coming. All right, well, let's keep the theme in Vegas. Talk about Jack Eichel in Vegas. Played 252 games, 108 goals, 272 points. 2023 Stanley Cup champion, led the 2023 playoffs with 26 points as we know it. Now, obviously, we talked about his hip, but he ends up signing get this, a $13.5 million annual estimated value 8-year deal with the Vegas Golden Knights. And Vegas currently is 16-6-10 as of now. What are your thoughts? We'll just keep that all aside, and we can make this a rapid fire question. Thoughts about him getting this contract, Jacob, in Vegas?
It's great by itself. They're just going to keep adding players. And it used to take years for I'll bring this up to you, Cody, the Anaheims and the Floridas and all that. It used to take them years to get players like this. And it's like now they're getting them right away. They got them the minute they came in the league. So good for them,
George?
Yeah, he's been a good hockey player. I'm happy for him. I think that he deserves that kind of money. We all know hockey players, for the most part, are underpaid, especially the ones that if you start comparing salaries with the other three major sports. So Eichel has done a good job. I really I have nothing against him being able to negotiate. And some people will always say, "Oh, he could have got more. He could have got more." Well, when you're in that position and you're trying to negotiate, you take what you think is a good enough deal. That's all I'll say.
Well, what people have to understand about the situation is Vegas allowed him to get the surgery that he wanted. Buffalo said no. So obviously, I think that has to count something. And I'm glad that he's got some security in Vegas. No state income tax either, by the way. And they're a good hockey market, and they have a cup in their pocket, Cody.
No, I was just going to bring up that the whole surgery thing. They allowed him to do it. He brought him a Stanley Cup. I think his whole game has completely changed since he's been in Vegas. He's been more defensive minded and stuff like that. And he's definitely a lot more, I think, more dangerous now on the field on the ice than he was in Buffalo. So I think, he was making $10 million before or now, and now he'll be moving up to 13.5.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great deal. He probably easily could have gotten more, but sometimes with the rising cap and where everything's at, you kind of have to compromise a little bit too. And like I said, as you said, Scott, the whole state income tax thing really helps.
Yeah, I wouldn't sell that state income tax too lightly, right, Mike? We live in a state where there is no state income tax. So thoughts?
Lucky you.
Yeah, hell, I know you get taxed to death out in California. That's for sure.
Mhm.
Mike, what are your thoughts about Jack? His cash?
The more games you play, the more years you play, like in every sport, you get more rights. You earn more rights. And if you play well, you also get more leverage
Right.
and the ability to make some choices as to where you want to play, how much you want to play for, and those types of things. And players, the way the rules work now in all sports, but in hockey, are getting those rights younger and younger. And there are choices they can make that didn't exist 25 and 30 years ago to play in warm climates, to play where they think there's great, good-looking young women, to
Really?
play, to play where, and that's a factor. I can tell you that from experience dealing with these guys and their agents, to play where there's no state income tax. I mean, all these things are options.
Right.
And these players, let's face it, they're a new generation. They're 20-somethings. Some of them aren't even 20-somethings. And they don't really care about the original six.
Right.
They don't care about the history of the Detroit Red Wings. All they know is it's cold in Buffalo. I got to pay a lot of taxes in New York.
Right.
And I, as a 20-year-old, like Eichel was, have a lot of leverage against this team, and I'm going to use it. And so, again, these guys get rights younger and younger now. That's just the way the collective bargaining agreements work. And they earn their leverage by playing well. And so he's got the rights to do what he wants to do. And it's a hard reality for people like me who grew up in Boston, for George who grew up in Detroit, right? For people that understand that we understand the history and all the great players that came through certain places, but these kids don't care about that. They really don't. And they shouldn't. They're a new generation, and they have options that weren't available to the players that played in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, or even the early 2000s. So,
well, a lot of them didn't play pond hockey either.
yeah,
You know, I mean, they were playing with the best equipment immediately. Where a lot of these guys from the older days played pond hockey, pretending to be Gordie Howe.
yeah.
Great
Different
points
day,
all.
you know?
Great points all around. You know what? Let's talk. We talked a lot about Alex Ovechkin. Here's a great number for you. He's played 32% of the entire NHL. Ovi has played alongside 2,736 of 8,687 total players in NHL history. If that isn't mind-boggling, tell me what is. And I repeat, 2,736 of the 8,657 total players in NHL history. Jacob.
That sounds a lot like Ray Bourque and Jaromir Jagr type. You know what I mean? It's just the amount of time that you have. And I would love to be able to know how many those guys played across, because, just the percentages and everything like that. But that's a record we'll never hear again.
Well, we're full of records. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, that's a lot of hockey. The only thing is that when you went back to if you do go back to the original six, of course, that number is attainable or higher to attain, obviously, when there's less players in the league. But now we're not talking about old times. We're talking about now. And that shows you the length of that man's career, how long he's been a success. And of course, we all know prolific scorer. So, yeah, it's an amazing stat. Nowadays, it stands the test of time because he's played against so many great ones and not so great ones. But it's a great stat. I love it.
Okay, Cody.
I agree with George. It's a great stat. I'm just curious on like Corey Perry and Brent Burns on how many people they've played with too, because I think Brent Burns is 40, 41. I think Perry's 39 to 40. So I can't imagine how much more they've played or around the same thing as Ovechkin. But like I said, that's a lot of people that to play with in his career. So that's crazy.
That's why we brought it up. We're talking full of numbers tonight, right, Mike? Don't wait, only 2 or 3 more topics left to go, and we'll wrap it up. But want to make sure everybody gets caught up before we start the new year fresh. January 8th will be our next show. So hope everybody has a great new year. I just want to make sure we provide you with a ton of information. Mike, some thoughts about Ovechkin's latest numbers.
I mean, again, we've these guys have already said it. I mean, it's longevity for sure, and it's the expansion of the league. I mean, it's not a 6-team league anymore. It's not a 14-team league anymore. It's not a 21-team league like when Ray Bourque entered. It's a 32-team league.
Right.
So the combination of more team with more players, I mean, and the fact that he's lasted so long, to his credit, he's gonna play with and against more people.
Fair enough. Okay. In the retired department, Max Pacioretty, obviously, who played for Montreal, Vegas, Washington, Toronto, retired at the age of 36. He will be working with the University of Michigan, Jacob. Nothing like going back to Michigan. Pardon me?
Who did you say?
Max
Pacioretty.
Max Pacioretty.
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 Okay,
I knew I'd find a way to mess that name up for a guy who's a West Coast
Okay,
guy.
that's why I was, yeah.
Yeah.
Working for the university?
Yeah, Michigan.
Oh. Go from the NHL to Frozen Four. I mean, we're going kind of rapid fire thing. I'm going to say that. Good for that. And you learn a lot from a guy like this.
George?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good program at Michigan. We all know that. Formerly headed up by Red Berenson, one of the all-time great Red Wings and St. Louis Blues player and coach. But now that's that history that you build on is very important to that program. And they've also had great teams and a lot of players in the NHL. But Max is that's a good move for him. He goes to a college program that's a winning program, where he can also learn and see if this is a great career move for him in the long run, where it might take him after that. But welcome to Michigan. Despite all the problems with what we hear about other things going on at U of M, we welcome he's welcome in the hockey program.
Cody?
No, it's a great move for him and for the University of Michigan. Like I said, a great college town, great college hockey program, probably one of the best in all of hockey. So I think it's a good place for him to go. And let's say he's from Connecticut. He's born in Connecticut, so not that far. But it's always good to see what players do when they retire and go help out either NHL or AHL or college. And it's just a good thing to see that he's going to help out the youth programs.
Mike?
I spoke with Glenn Healy earlier today. He's the president of the NHL Alumni Association. And he told me something that I had no idea about. And it's very interesting. There are more former players working for NHL teams now than there are players in the league.
Wow.
And I can tell you, and you probably don't even have to tell you, that most NHL players especially, but all pro players have this idea that when they're finished playing, however it ends, that somehow they're going to get a job in hockey. And there aren't that many jobs comparatively. So the fact that he's going to work in the sport that he's accomplished in and work at the college level, I think is terrific. Because most of these guys think they're going to get a job as a scout or an advisor or something with an NHL club. And I think that the fact that he's working at the college level is really going to get him a chance to do some different things and maybe find out where he belongs. You know, whether that's behind the bench or maybe that's up in the press box or where it happens to be, or out, you know, recruiting or whatever, you know, whatever skills that, you know, he can develop or he can be good at. And maybe one day he'll move to the NHL level, or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll be like Red Berenson and just love the college game and want to, you know, stay there. So good for him.
He did play for University of Michigan too, so that helps.
Right
Oh
on.
yeah.
Great stuff. Well, obviously the Michigan Wolverines, they could certainly use them with football. We all know about Sharon Moore, but I guess we'll have to settle for the hockey team. All right, just kidding around. Well, maybe I'm not, but I don't know if I really am anymore about this one. But I'll tell you what I'm not kidding about is the fact that hockey got themselves a big addition in Nashville. That person's name is Nick Saban, who's now a minority owner for them. Nick Saban will be joined by his business partner, Joe Agresti. And I'm going to tell you something. Nick Saban's a competitor. And this guy, if anybody can inject a little bit of that experience, make Barry Trotz a little bit better, I wouldn't mind having Nick Saban in the building helping Barry Trotz. And of course, George and I know Bill Wickett is a part of the Predators as well. Mike, some thoughts about Nick Saban landing in Nashville?
Well, I worked in Nashville. It's not your father's Nashville anymore. I'm not so sure Barry Trotz will be around very long to work with Nick Saban. And I'm not really sure that this is much more than a publicity move.
Okay.
To me, this is very similar to when Stephen Ross put a bunch of celebrities and athletes together as minority owners of the Miami Dolphins. You know, we had the Williams sisters and, you know, and entertainers and people like that. Well, let's not forget that the Predators' majority owner right now is Mr. Haslam,
Mm-hmm.
history and not only as the governor of the state of Tennessee, but also the football teams. So I'm sure there's some connection there to Saban through football, and he's obviously Alabama's a neighboring state, a real close neighboring state, and so I think it's more of a publicity move than anything.
Well, I don't think Nate feels that way. He says the Preds are a great organization with fantastic brand, and we're excited to be a part of the future success of the franchise. Maybe it is a publicity stunt. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. Doesn't sound like from that quote that it is, but time will tell in terms of success. I agree with you. I don't think Barry Trotz will be in the building long if it's saving it there. I can't see those two coexisting for sure, Mike. You're on target there, as you are all the time. All right, Cody.
Well, sometimes you just need to let hockey people do the hockey things. I don't know how much Nick Saban knows about hockey. I mean, the way the Predators have been the last couple of years, and maybe they need that little kick in the butt kind of thing. And if Nick Saban acts like he does in that Airbnb commercial, then I would hate to be everyone in Nashville.
Right.
But I mean, like I said, I think it's a publicity stunt, but I don't think Nick Saban's going to be the one that's going to kick Barry Trotz out of there.
Okay. George.
Yeah, let's let this play out a little bit. I know, Mike's got his opinion. Cody's got his opinion. I'm somewhere in the middle too. I never knew about, Saban being a great follower of this sport, but that's okay. I mean, he has business associates, sure, and let's see if he has a way to add some input or some expertise to making the Predators what they're still striving for, and that's a Stanley Cup. I think that like I said, let's see what happens. It could just be name only. We don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm with you. I'd like to see how it plays out. Go ahead, Jacob. And after this, we go to Pundit, non-sports top preview fire up. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things I'll say is I can doubt that he really had a heck of a lot of any hockey knowledge, just considering it's around the same season. He was laser focused on his sport. But at the same time, I see him as like Vince Lombardi. The story goes, Vince Lombardi was asked to be a basketball coach. He was asked about basketball, went to a library, learned about it. We won a state title. I could see Nick Saban with that same competitiveness to learn the game like that. So who knows, and we'll see. And the thing is, you were going to say pundit. Can I give a real quick one real fast, guy?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that, because I know you have to roll anyways. Go ahead. I'll let you do the pundit.
All right.
Candy
I just
come
want
on.
to give everybody, we've had a hard time knowing the death of Rob Reiner, knowing the death of all this and what we've had over the year. We've had a lot of mental health issues and a lot of drug issues and everything like that. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a hope for the new year that we can be able to get ourselves some help.
All right, well,
And
you know what? No, go ahead and finish.
Yeah, that we can get ourselves some help and we can start getting ourselves happier and everything like that, because this was a rough year for a lot of things. And I just wish everybody a Merry Christmas and all kinds of safety.
Well, you know what, Jacob, I want to thank you for your contributions to us. Looking forward to doing better and better things with you as well. Obviously, Jacob's a very important contributor to Sports Exchange, and he's been a great addition here to Sports Wrap as well. Jacob, happy holidays to you, season's greetings, and you and I will certainly be texting anyways, but we want to thank you for being a great addition to Sports Wrap for
Appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you all, guys.
All right, thank you, Jacob. We'll be in touch. All right, with that said, we'll bring on Candy for a non-sports topic real quick, and then she'll preview Fire Up. Go ahead, Candy. Come on, please. Candy will be on in a moment. So, Mike, why don't you give one more description of hockey operations real quick?
Hockey operations, obviously, we consist of a number of businesses, and probably the most appropriate right now is the Boston Tea Company. That's Boston Tee Company.com, and get your nostalgic t-shirts from some of your favorite Boston iconic places at BostonTeaCompany.com. This is the time for gift giving.
George, why don't you let everybody know how they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can follow me on South Florida Tribune website and the contributors section, where I write columns, and also locally in the Detroit Downtown Monitor. I have a book that I wrote, and there's a link at the end of my column if you care to look at my book called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, chronicling 80, 90 years of broadcast excellence in Detroit. And I'm glad we talked about some of those guys earlier today in this podcast. And you can reach me too at gicorn@yahoo.com or on Twitter at SanGSports99, or else I'm very active on LinkedIn and Facebook as well.
Okay, Cody, let's let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
Yeah, they can follow us on at Really Quacked on every social media platform. Also, we're on all podcast platforms, and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers before the new year. We go live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So, and just you can hear me and my dad literally argue every week.
Yeah, and it's not the worst thing on the planet. So, obviously, we had a good show. Just to give you a preview about what we're going to be talking about going into the first of the year, we're going to talk about what Mike mentioned, and we're going to talk about the situation where the Olympics as well. That's a storyline to monitor. And Mike, there were a couple of trades that you wanted to talk about. Why don't you give us some overview real quick?
Well, I just thought the Quinn Hughes situation was interesting. He was obviously disappointed with the way the team was performing in Vancouver. Not too different than what we talked about with Jack Eichel earlier. This is a guy that's at a young age got some leverage and some rights, and he sort of forced Vancouver's hand. And although people thought that he was going to end up in a few different places, maybe New Jersey with his brothers, and Detroit, who was rumored to be interested. From nowhere, Billy Guerin jumped up and grabbed him in Minnesota, and I think he's going to be a great fit there.
Okay, well, we have one other non-sport topic I want to get to tonight, and that goes back to this. There was an alligator attack that actually killed a woman canoeing with her husband on a Florida lake. He survived, and I'm going to tell you one thing. I guess that's one thing you don't miss, George, about being in Florida, is the fact that, after about alligator attacks inside of Florida lakes. So what's your real quick take on this, George?
Well, yeah, these type of stories, unfortunately, are coming out, and it's a sad situation. I mean, Overall, my general feeling is that humans, we are getting too close to animals. We're getting too close to dangerous animals. And I know it's not always that's the case. She was just doing something that she loved to do. But I mean, there are other stories of people getting too close to bears and other animals, and safari animals or whatever. But it is sad. But, you know, they got a mind of their own, unfortunately. And when they want to do something like that, it's sad. It's sad. I don't like to see them biting and sharks biting and all that stuff, but it happens. I guess I just don't. I feel sad for it though.
Well, you talk about alligator attacks. Unfortunately, it's just too bad that that woman here. I hate to bring this stuff up, but Mike, when we live in the state of Florida, this kind of stuff happens where an alligator attack, you know, inside of a Florida lake. That stuff just simply does happen. I mean, whether we like it or not, right, Mike?
I'm probably not the person to be speaking about this.
Yeah.
Because you're talking to the guy that does paddle boarding on the Swanee River with gators all around him.
Oh, wow.
There's also, as I think you know, Scott, I went to Central America last August and swam with sharks in Shark Alley, no cage or anything. So I am one of those crazy people that unfortunately might not show up here 1 week for the show, and you might be talking about me. So, yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm not saying that's what happened with this woman, but I'm just a little bit on the crazy side when it comes to that stuff. So unfortunately, George, I'm one of those people that gets a little too near the wildlife.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't make my girlfriend happy. It doesn't make my family members happy. Or maybe sometimes they say, you know what, go for it.
Hey, well, Cody, be glad you live out in Southern California. You don't have to worry about alligators, but you have a little lot more to worry about, right?
So there's two things I need to remember if I ever go to Florida. Don't check a bag and stay away from swamps. That's no. Mike, I don't know how you do that because I guess I deliver propane. If I see a snake, I'm running. If I see a big spider or tarantula that's hiding in the lids, I'm gone. I'll overfill a propane tank. I am leaving, and I will take off in my truck with my hose still attached to the tank, and that thing's dragging behind me. No, I just don't do any of that. So, Mike, good for you. Hopefully, you're not gonna be on the news and us talking about you one of these weeks. But I pray that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
but
we have to do a show on that, Scott. I can bring up some of the video and.
Yeah, I don't know. It's to me one of those situations. Let me tell you, I got a lot of things that I'm dealing with these days. Nowadays, obviously, I'm working with a venture called Roundtable Sports, where I'm dealing with covering the Buccaneers. I also have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and what else do I have? I have and I have the Brooklyn Nets and the Sacramento Kings. So, meanwhile, I want to wish everybody out there a happy holiday season for sure. And it's been a great run here for us this year, but we have a lot of bigger and better things that we're working on as well for 2026. So on behalf of Jacob Christner, George Eichhorn, Cody Spink, Mike Santos, and myself, Scott Morgan, I want to thank everybody for joining us on this edition of Sports Wrap. Everybody have yourself a great new year. We'll be back and better than ever on Thursday, pardon me, January 8th. Where does this time go? I don't know. The only thing that'll be different is I'll be a different age on December 29th, all of 63 years of age. So, meanwhile, thanks everybody for joining us on this edition of Sports Wrap. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. If I missed one out, I'm trying to remember them all, but I like to think I got them all. So this is your team for Sports Wrap Talking Hockey. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless, and we'll see you during the new year. Be safe. Please, we don't need anybody else getting sick for all the wrong reasons. Good night, everybody, and see you in 2026. Bye now.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.